Okay, good morning everyone, and Hazak Baruch. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Friday morning, Erev Shabbat Kodesh, as we are studying together Parashat Pekudei, the final Parasha in the book of Shemot. Next week we will move on to Vayikra, to Leviticus. Of course, this Shabbat we have Rosh Chodesh coming up, Saturday night. Motza'e Shabbat, we have Rosh Chodesh. So wishing everyone a Chodesh Tov, a Guten Chodesh, if that's how you say it, and all the blessings in the upcoming month of Nisan. But we are still in Adar. And so today I want to share with you a beautiful Midrash that I think will help us carry the Simcha, my friends. We all need it. We all want it. The Simcha of Adar, the happiness, the joy of this month. We are studying together Midrash Rabbah. Midrash Rabbah, fascinating ideas from our rabbis, from the Tanaim, from the Amoraim, of how to understand the Parashah on a allegorical, deeper level. Our Midrash today, to cap off our book of Shemot, our Midrash starts off with a pasuk in Shir HaShirim. Shir HaShirim, we know, is a book written by Shlomo HaMelech, the Song of Songs. Very powerful book, very complicated book. It is the only book that you're not allowed to read and understand on the simple level, because it could actually sound a little bit inappropriate if you try to do so. It's a book that's very deep, and at one point the rabbis weren't sure if they were going to even add it into the book of Tanakh. Because they didn't know what kind of book is this? Romance. It sounded a little weird. Eventually, they saw the depth of it and they added it. But what's very important when you read the book, to make sure that you follow it, that you read it through the lens of our Chazal, our rabbis. The pasuk that we're going to study today in Shir HaShirim, and of course if you're Sephardi, you'll appreciate this, because tonight, on Friday night in the synagogue, we actually study this book together. We read this book every Friday night in the Sephardi shuls. Shir HaShirim, it takes around 10-15 minutes to read, and it's very beautiful to read it on Friday afternoon. So here is the pasuk today. Pasuk is in chapter 3. Pasuk says as follows: Tze'ena ur'ena benot Tzion b'melech Shlomo. Go out. Okay, I mean, we'll just translate it literally for a second. Go out, Tze'ena ur'ena, and look, benot Tzion, the daughters of Tzion, ba'atara b'melech Shlomo, to the King Solomon. Ba'atara she'etera lo imo b'yom hatunato b'yom simchat lebo. Go out and look, daughters of Zion, with the crown of which Shlomo's mother made for him. Okay, what exactly does that even mean? But this is the pasuk we're going to study today. Now you should know that this actually, although this pasuk is in the middle of Shir HaShirim, chapter 3, there's 8 chapters. This is actually, at the end of Shir HaShirim on Friday night, it's customary to repeat this pasuk. So actually we end off Shir HaShirim with this pasuk. Tze'ena ur'ena benot Tzion b'melech Shlomo ba'atara she'etera lo imo b'yom hatunato b'yom simchat lebo. Right? We end with that pasuk. So what does that mean? We're going to expound the whole pasuk be'ezrat Hashem. But what does that mean? The crown and Shlomo and daughters of Zion and the day of his rejoicing, the day of his wedding. What is going on over here? With regard to what was this verse said? Bayom she'amad haMishkan. Answers our Midrash, of course, the day that the Mishkan was first erected. Okay? Beautiful. So that's our Parashat Pekudei, where Moshe Rabbeinu stands up the Mishkan. That pasuk was said. Tze'ena ur'ena. Now we have to see how. How does that exactly fit? Says the Midrash, She'ayta simcha gedola b'Yisrael. That day that the Mishkan was built was such a happy day. It was such a happy day. Shakadosh Baruch Hu shorei etzlam. You know why it was happy? Because God is finally coming back to rest amongst us. The day that the Mishkan was built, finally, the Shekhinah came. We felt the Shekhinah. If you remember, we lost the Shekhinah because of our sin, because of Chet HaEgel. We lost the Shekhinah. It was very sad. And then God forgave us. When a couple makes up, when two friends that were very good friends got into a very bitter fight, and then they finally make real truce, that's a very happy day. The day that we were reunited with Hashem, it was one of the happiest days ever. The day the Mishkan was built, the Shekhinah came down, Hashem forgave us. And it wasn't just like we build it. It was a two-way street. We had to build it, and Hashem had to agree that it should be built. Because we were actually done preparing all the materials. And for 3 months, God said, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to make peace with you. I'll be ready, but not yet. Right? Sometimes you want to make peace with someone, but you want to make peace with them now, on your terms. I want it to be today, right now. I'm calling you, answer me. But, Rahi, sometimes it's not up to you. It's a two-way street. You have to allow the other person time to heal, maybe. Maybe today's not yet. It's going to come. You have to wait, though. God says, I'm not ready yet. Okay, we were waiting. We were very sad. Eventually, the first of Nisan, which is Sunday, Rosh Chodesh Nisan, came. And Hashem said, okay, now I'm ready. And it was a very, very happy day. Shakadosh Baruch Hu Shorei Etzlam, God is now dwelling amongst us. So here's how you expound the verse. Tze'ena ur'ena benot Tzion. What's benot Tzion? It's not what you thought, daughters of Zion, of city of Yerushalayim. Benot Tzion, banim hametzuyanim li al umot ha'olam. It means children who are identifiable. You could tell a Jew from a mile away. When you see a Jew with a brit milah, when you see a Jew with tzitzit, when you see a woman how she dresses, she doesn't dress like the regular lady in the street. You could tell a Jewish girl. You could tell a guy is Jewish. They look different. How many times I'm on a plane, or maybe I'm skiing somewhere, I don't even have a kippah on, and I'm sitting on the slope, and as I'm talking to this guy next to me, 5 seconds in, I didn't even say a Jewish word. 5 seconds in, are you Jewish? I'm like, yeah. And then the guy digs deep into his, ski jacket, pulls out it's a true story, pulls out his Magen David, his necklace. Nice to meet you, brother. Oh my God, you're Jewish. What's your name? Random guy in Utah. See him on the ski slopes. Guy's the announcer for the Utah Jazz. Okay? He has his very deep voice, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Utah Jazz. Right? Okay? True story. I'm sure you have many of them. You meet a random guy. How'd you know I was Jewish? You could tell a Jew. You should be able to tell a Jew. They're just refined. They're different. Banim mitzuyanim. They're identifiable. Matziyun hazeh, just like this marker. Nir'eh be'etzba, you could identify it. You could indicate it with a finger. Kach Yisrael nir'in be'etzba. So to the Jewish people, you should be able to tell who is a Jew. So that's Benot Tzion. Very nice. So go out, Jewish people. Bamelech Shelomo. What does that mean? You thought it means King Solomon? Wrong. Bamelech Shehashalom Shelo. It means the king whose peace belongs to him. Okay? Shalom, Hashem, that's God. We know one of God's name is Shalom. Zeh Melech Melchem Melchim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is the King of Kings, God. Okay? So we're referring to God as the God of peace. He creates peace upon earth. Ba'atara sha'itera lo imo. And with the crown that his mother made for him. What does that now mean? Lama kar'o atara. Says the Midrash, Zeh Mishkan. This is the Mishkan. When we build the Mishkan is God's crown. Lama kar'o atara. Why? Why is it called a crown? Just like a crown, mitzuyeret, is adorned with many colors, so too the Mishkan mitzuyad was adorned with many colors. We know the Mishkan had, just like a crown has precious stones and pearls. The Mishkan had embroidery. It had rokem batechelet, ba'argaman, tola'at shani. It had turquoise, purple, scarlet wool, linen, weaver, artisan of every craft, makers of designs. So this is the atara she'iter alo. This is the crown which the mother made for him. And look at this. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, says Rabbi Yitzchak, Hazarti b'chol mikra. I looked all over the entire Tanakh. I looked everywhere. Lo matzati she'asta bat sheva atara leShlomo. I have not found anywhere that Shlomo's mother, Bat Sheva, made a crown for him. What does that mean? Ba'atara she'itera lo imo. The crown that his mother made. Who is Shlomo's mom? Batsheva. I don't find anywhere that Batsheva made a crown for her son. Do you know what he's talking about? If Shasha Shamata me'avicha mahu, could it be that you heard Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai sha'alat Rabbi Elazar beRabbi? Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai asked Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi, do you know where we find Shlomo's mother made for him? Amar lohen. He said, I know what it's talking about. It's not talking about Shlomo HaMelech. It's talking about when the Jewish people made for God the Mishkan. That's the crown. And so he says back, so then why are we called his mother? Imo, are we God's mom? We're not God's mom. He says, Mashal, I'll tell you what it means. Melech shahayta lo bat yechida. There was a king who had a precious daughter, an only daughter, a cherished. Mehabeba yoter midai, loved her very much. Hayakoreh ota biti. He said, she's my daughter. Okay. Lo zaz mehabeba, but he persisted in his love for her. Achekara'a ahoti, until eventually he called her my sister. And finally, achekara'a imi, till he called her my mom. So a man loved his daughter, then he upgraded her to loving like a sister, and then upgraded her to loving like a mother. Kachadosh Baruch Hu, so to God, originally calls us daughter. Like it says, Shim'i bat. Then he says, you're my sister. Shemar pitchile ahoti ra'ayati. Pasuk in Shir HaShirim, ahoti, sister. And eventually loved us like a mother. Like it says, Hakshivu elai ami ul imi. Ul umi elai. So we are God's daughter, then eventually his sister, then eventually God's mom. Whatever that means. And that's what it means. That we, God's mom, we created for him a Mishkan, a crown. Now you may be listening to this, you're saying, one second. Out of these three loves, which one is the most? The love of a mom, or the love of a sister, or the love of a daughter? I think, say for sure, maybe the love of a daughter. Maybe mom, first and second place. But for sure the love of a sister is not more than the love of a daughter. I don't think so. I love my sister. But daughter can't compare. Daughter is you. What does the Midrash mean? What does the Midrash mean when it says that Hashem loved us first like a daughter, then even more like a sister? So I want to explain it to you. That's why you have to always know when you read a Midrash to really understand what it's saying. Because if you don't dig deep, if you just read it like you read a little novel, quickly, 300 pages a day, that's not how you meant to learn Torah. Because then you could completely misunderstand the entire thing. There is a relationship of a father and a daughter. The relationship can be defined really as the father giving the daughter. The father gives. The daughter is a receiver. She's subservient. She's under. It's like a rabbi giving to the student. Right? That's like a Rav and a Talmid. A mother and a daughter, a son. Father and a daughter and a son. Right? Downwards. But then there's a relationship that you have with someone who's a partner, an equal. Your spouse, your sister. You give, she gives, you're equals. And then there's the relationship that you have with your mom, your father, your rabbi, where they're on top, they're in charge, right? A mom is the giver. And we all start off life, by the way, like this. We start off as a daughter, as a son. We start off as a taker, as a receiver. Think about a child. They only take. It's selfish. Then eventually we grow up. We go into stages of teenage. We develop friendships. We start giving. We start learning to sacrifice. We start learning to think of other people. We get married where we have a partner, where we think of someone else. But we're still taking. We're also, right? Friendships, it's a mutual relationship. I give you, you give me. But eventually, we become a parent. A parent is someone that only is supposed to give. The moment a parent looks to take and receive from their child, they get in trouble. I'm not supposed to think of me when my child is acting out or not giving me something, or they're not appreciative how much I do for you and you don't give me. It's not about you. Parenting is not about you. If you want to go about you, go back to your mom. Your mom will give you. But when you're the mom, when you're the dad, it's not about you getting. It's about you giving. And it's important to never forget that. As a rabbi, as a teacher, as a giver, as a parent, you can never forget your job here in a school. Teachers should not come to school looking to get something from the kids, to take, to receive. Your job is to give. Your job is to pump. Your job is to fuel. Your job is to create a space of a year of good. Yeah? You don't come here to just come and get some chizuk. That's not, you want chizuk, you want to, unload all of your stress, you go to your therapist for that. But here, in this space, your job is the giver. Your job is the rabbi. Your job is the teacher. Your job is the mom. You have negativity, it's fine. You could work that out in from 10 to 3, when your kids are in school. Figure that out. But beforehand and afterhand, your kids are home, you're the giver. You cannot forget that. A dad, you don't unload on your kids. You unload, you do it outside, whatever you got to do. But in here, you're the giver. You're not looking to get happiness from them. You're not looking for them to give you compliments, for them to give you appreciation. You here are the only thing you should be thinking about is how can I provide? I'm here to do. That's your job. Yeah, a therapist. Imagine a therapist session. The therapist starts, as the guy's venting to the therapist, the guy's like, by the way, I got to tell you, hello? You think you had a bad, let me tell you about my day. And then they start, pouring out their heart to you. You're like, what are you doing? Am I paying you or are you paying me? What's going on over here? Right? The therapist knows I'm right now here as the therapist. I'm the giver. You can't forget that. The same with Hashem. Sometimes we are the receiver. That's how we started off. That's a low level. To be a daughter of God is a low level, actually. Although the love you receive is the most, but it's an immature level of a relationship where you're just the receiver. Eventually you upgrade, you graduate, where you become also a partner with God, where you become God's sister, a sibling, a friend, they're an equal. You give me and I give you. And the highest level is where we become Hashem's mom, so to speak, where we give and we are in charge. And that I could pray and God says, okay, whatever you want, because you're in charge. That's the advantage of being the giver. A person that's a low-level person, a young, small person, is Hashem's giving you and giving you and giving you, but you're at the end of the day, you're the child. You have no rights. You have no say. You see, that's why the tzaddikim, when they pray, Hashem listens. Because the tzaddik becomes the mom, becomes the dad. The tzaddik becomes a person who gives God, not takes from God. The tzaddik wakes up in the morning and says, okay, God, I'm here to do and serve and give you. So God says, okay, well, when you become the mom, when you become the dad, now you get to decide what you think the world should look like, who you think should be healthy, who you think should get married, who you think should make parnasah, who you think should be healthy and wealthy, right? You get to decide that. So now you get to pray. That's why the more we give, the more we get to pray, because we become the mom. We get to decide. We know when a mom makes the call, right? Now, this is what the Midrash is saying. When we build the Mishkan, we became the mom. Not only that, but by the way, the Meshech Chochmah explains that this refers to 3 stages of our history. Passover, we were the daughter. We were passive, no pun intended. How you doing? Okay, so we were passive in Passover. God did all the doing. God did taking us out. God split the sea. God brought the plagues. We were like a baby. You're a baby. We were just being held and carried. We had no merits really. God, we were just as evil as the Egyptians. We were doing idolatry. We were just as low as them. The sea didn't even want to split for us. Then eventually, we started becoming a sister. Har Sinai, Shavuot. Now we're a little bit partners in this. We did stuff. We prepared for the Shavuot. We had the Omer, 49 days. Every day we were growing, we were doing, we were climbing, we were doing mitzvot. We said Na'aseh v'nishma. It was more of we were learning, we were growing. Just like a kid grows from being a child to a sibling and a friend. We were growing and we were also becoming God's friend. We were doing a little bit for Him, if you could say that. Eventually, we built the Mishkan. And when we built the Mishkan, God went away. God's like, see you later, I'm out. And we became the parent. And we saw nothing from Hashem. He did nothing for us. He was MIA. And it was just us giving and doing and giving and doing and giving and doing. We became the mom. And until we built the Mishkan, we initiated that. And that's really the time of Yom Kippur, of Sukkot. We are initiating that relationship. That's the simcha, by the way, of Sukkot. That's why it says Man Simchatenu. It's a time of happiness. In life, there's no happiness and joy like being able to give. When you receive, you're not really happy. It's fake happy. When you get a birthday gift, it's fake happy. It's like, oh, I got something. But really deep down, there's no greater joy in life than giving. The Rambam says, the laws of Purim, we just finished this. The Rambam writes, if you have extra funds at the end of Purim, what should you do with them? Should you spend it on your meal? Should you buy a nicer Megillah? Says the Rambam, no. You know what you should do with it? You should give it to the poor. Because if you want to have a happy holiday, there's no greater joy than giving. That's what the Rambam says. Look it up, end of the laws of Purim. There's no greater joy than giving. Sukkot, it's aruta dil tata, when it's an initiation from below, we drove that relationship like a mother. So that's the Mishkan. That's the atara she'itera lo imo. That's the crown that the mother made. That's the crown that we made for Hashem. My gosh, gorgeous. We are the mom. We made a Mishkan for God. Amad Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai unchako al rosho. When Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai heard this, he kissed him on his head. He kissed him on his head. Wow, what a hidush. That's a beautiful Dvar Torah. That's how we are the mom of God in a way. Well, the Midrash ends off. How does the pasuk continue? Beyom hatunato, beyom simchat lebo. Beyom hatunato, the day of the wedding. What is that referring to? First opinion says, Ze Sinai. The day of the wedding is Sinai. We got married to God. Yom simchat lebo, and the day of our heart is Jerusalem. When eventually the Mishkan, the Beit HaMikdash was built in Jerusalem. We know Jerusalem is the heart of the body, of the world. That's the simchat libo, Yerushalayim. Davar acher, another answer. Yom hatunato al hayam is on the sea of reeds. Yom simchat lebo is the ohel moed, is when we built the tent of meeting. Another answer, the Yom hatunato is the Mishkan. Yom simchat lebo is the Beit HaMikdash. And says King David as well in Tehillim, Yefe nof mesos kol haaretz. Fairest nof, a bride, joy of all the earth. What does that mean? A bride, joy of all the earth. Ma'aseh haya beparkamatiyot ehad. There was once a merchant. Halach liYerushalayim lemkoret shelo. He went to Jerusalem to sell his wares. Halach v'yashav velo machar. He sat, but he could not sell anything. Amar, he said, Zo Yerushalayim? Is this the city that they say about her? Mesos kol haaretz, joy, everyone. This is not a joyous city. He got stuck with all his merchandise. Well, after a short time, Machar, he sold all his wares. Amar, and then he said, indeed, Yefeh nof mesos kol haaretz. Yes, Jerusalem is indeed the fairest of sights, joy of all the earth. Amar Yohanan, Kipa shel heshbonot hayta chutz Yerushalayim. There was a vault of calculations outside of Jerusalem. Kol mi shemevakesh lahshov holech lesham. If anyone had calculations, if anyone had a reckoning, amazing how Parashat begins with reckoning and ends with reckoning. If anyone has a reckoning to do, go out there. Go outside. Don't do your reckoning in here. Lama. Shelo yahshov beYerushalayim veyetzar. We don't want people to become distressed. The guy does a reckoning, he realizes he lost money, he's in the red. He's going to be sad. We don't want people to be sad in Jerusalem. Similar to the halachot of Shabbat, you're not supposed to think of business on Shabbat. You're not supposed to do your calculations. You're not supposed to become sad on Shabbat. If you know bad news, you're not supposed to share it with someone on Shabbat. Jerusalem is the same thing. You don't want to share bad news in Jerusalem. You don't want to think of business in Jerusalem. Kiryat Melech Lav, it's God's great city. So we do the calculations outside. That's the simple understanding of what that means. My friends, I want to share with you just one last thought for today of what it means to do cheshbonot outside. You know, many times the pasuk promises to the tzaddik blessing. The pasuk says, Torshei Adonai lo yahseru kol tov. Those who seek God will not lack anything. What does that mean, that those who seek God will not lack anything? A lot of times I see people that seek God and they love God and they're lacking. They're not well fed. Maybe can't afford their rent. But you know what it means? It doesn't mean that they're going to be well housed. It says they will never be lacking. They will not be lacking. They will never be lacking good in their own eyes. What that means, a person of faith, whatever God gives him, he accepts. He is confident that this is exactly what is right for him. Like we say in Pirkei Avot, Ezehu ashir hasamech bechelko. Wealth is perspective, my friends. Wealth is not about what you have, but it's how you perceive it. A person has millions, but he needs more. This man is a poor man. Someone with very little, but is happy with that little. He is very, very rich. You maybe compare it to a wealthy businessman, a Wall Street executive. He goes into a taxi and he boasts about his financial success, his big houses, his multiple houses, his cars, his drivers, his vacation homes. The taxi driver, Israeli socialist country, maybe he listens. He says, yeah, I hear you. I don't have a house. I don't have many cars. I wake up in Israel, though. My kids go to school. I pray every day at the kotel. I have a cup of coffee every morning with my wife. What more do I need? The executive realizes all his wealth, understands how much he's actually missing. Person went through the Holocaust, comes to America, lives in a very small apartment, doesn't have much. But he wakes up every day, a billionaire. I see my children safe. I eat freely. I could practice religion without any fear. This guy's the richest man in the world. You see some people, they're born, they have a lot, but they're on vacation and they're miserable and they're complaining. Why can't we go to the game? It's not fair. The guy's on vacation, complaining why he can't go to a 2-hour baseball game, crying. The other kid, maybe very happy, stayed home. Maybe he didn't get to go on vacation, didn't get a baseball game. Happy with just the toy that he has in his closet. Happy to sit with his siblings. It's all about perspective. People win the lottery. You think they're automatically happy? They're not. Look at the studies. There's many people commit suicide when they win the lottery. The tzaddik says, what I have is enough. Yaakov Avinu, what did he say to his brother? Yeshli, kol. I have it all. What I have is perfect. I have everything. I don't need more. If I can't be happy with what I have, then I'll never be happy with what I get later. If I'm always looking at what's next, then that's going to never stop. Then even if I give you more, you'll keep looking at what's next. Happiness is about looking at what I have. Social media definitely does not help, by the way. Constantly comparing, seeing other people's life, fake life, by the way, curated highlights for people to see, just snippets, edited videos. We don't realize the emptiness sometimes that exists over there, the stress. To be able to appreciate the sun rising, the warmth, the birds sing for me every morning, to see the children play. I have a good job, I make enough. It's a crazy thing. We live in a world that is just never end. They're just trying to throw at us more and more to consume. You have a suit, but you need another suit. That's what's crazy. Shopping. It's crazy. You have clothes, but it's not. You need more clothes. And they're creating this empty, never-ending pit. Never ending. You'll never be full. You'll never be quenched. It's never satisfying. We have to start shifting our perspective. That I have what I need. That's what a tzaddik lives like. A tzaddik lives that I have what I need. I have enough. Sometimes, even regular people, we receive that blessing of being able to be happy with where we are. You go to a funeral, you realize, money's not everything. There's a perspective shift. That money means nothing really. The houses and the cars and the designers, it stays behind. What remains? What are they talking about at this funeral? Talking about his relationships, his kindness, the impact that he made, the tzedakah that he did, the Torah that he learned. These are the things that matter. When a guy went to Jerusalem, he had this perspective shift. He was in a city that he saw what really matters. If you ever go visit a rabbi gadol in Israel, sometimes you get this clarity. Sometimes you could watch a movie or read a book and you have that clarity. And you realize, wow, I'm a blessed man. I'm a wealthy man. I have everything. So that's what it means in Jerusalem. You weren't allowed to do your calculations. Not that you weren't allowed. It means you didn't need to. You didn't have to calculate. It doesn't matter. I'm very blessed. In Jerusalem, you realized you had that blessing. You realize what mattered. You realize whose matters. We adopted in Jerusalem an enough mentality to focus not on what we lack, but on what we have. And then in Jerusalem, we were wealthy. And so that is the mesos kol haaretz. That is the joy that existed, my friends, in Jerusalem. That is the joy that we were able to appreciate when we were in Yerushalayim. So as we wrap up the month of Adar, my friends, my bracha to all of us is that we should learn how to really be with true simcha. True simcha is not by getting more things. True simcha is something that we already have. If Hashem will only give us the ability to open our eyes and to see it, and to appreciate it, and to cherish it. Wishing everyone here an amazing year ahead of joy, of simcha, that the simcha of Adar should overflow and carry into the rest of the year, be'ezrat Hashem. Wishing everyone here Shabbat Shalom, and hopefully we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.